Thank you, everybody, for coming to our first Self-Storage Internet Council presentation and for getting up early and making it. And we're here with assembled with a group of internet leaders in self-storage. And the purpose of our session today is to be able to discuss kind of how internet technology impacts self-storage. And what we've seen is a trend of the internet becoming increasingly important to self-storage owners, self-storage vendors, and obviously self-storage consumers. On my left is Chuck Gordon, the CEO of Sparefoot. And then on my right is Chris Sterry with G5 and Nick Balava with Storage.com. So let's move to topic one, which is venture capital, and which I think is something that the self-storage industry really needs to look at carefully. There's been a recent flood of venture capital into the sector of self-storage. The question is what exactly investors are backing, and are they predicting a paradigm shift in the way that internet and self-storage interact, or do they expect that the internet will disrupt self-storage itself? What are your thoughts, Chuck, on sort of venture capitalists? Are they predicting a paradigm shift?
Well, having just gone through this whole process and talking to a whole bunch of investors, I don't think that they're predicting a paradigm shift. I mean, most of the conversation about the alternative storage stuff is not necessarily we think this is going to replace storage conversation. It's more of okay, that's something that people in the super urban markets are going to want, but it's going to be hard to make work in places where you have to drive far.
And will you describe that? Because I'm not sure that everybody in the self-storage industry is aware of that. Now, this is these services where where you find them on an app or maybe on a website, but usually on an app, and you say, hey, come bring a couple plastic containers to my apartment,
Yep.
and I want to put some stuff in storage. And then don't they photograph it and categorize it, or some of them photograph it?
I think some of them do that. They let you inventory it,
yeah.
And then you can pull out specific items.
And some people call this storage valets, right? Storage valet services.
Yep.
Right. And so, and just as a note, MakeSpace is one of them, which is funded by Mark Andreessen, which is the founder of Netscape. And they have I think they've raised now $10 million in 2 rounds in the last 18 months. Boxby has raised $2 million plus. And then there's really a host of 4 or 5 others that have some sort of set of $500,000 to $2 million worth of seed fundings.
So we actually have a shared investor with Boxby, and their take on it is that it's not necessarily so much about the storage, it's more about the sharing economy aspect of it. So you can put your stuff in these boxes, catalog it, and then maybe it's something you don't use often, and then you can basically loan it out to someone else while it's just sitting in storage, or rent it out or something like that. So that's the angle that they were most interested in.
Now, curious from your guys' perspective, and also G5 is venture-backed and venture-funded as well. Different, I think, type of venture funding, right? Describe to us a little bit about the venture funding behind G5.
This is where Dan should be here on the capital side.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have a lot of experience on the venture side of G5. We went through the process. I think for us, it's looking at how storage is impacted by technology. I think there's a shift that's happening. I think it's a little slow, but it gets there. I think users are ultimately trying to have a better experience because they see a better experience in other areas of their life. And whether it's mobile-based, they've got the internet on their fingertips at all times. Just the way that they're interacting with the brands they're familiar with, Uber, whatever it might be. I think storage will slowly start to take a turn where the customer experience becomes a larger part of the rental process. And so they're looking online, they're using Sparefoot, they're using the websites, they're taking it to the next step where ultimately they're trying to take the transaction out of the process, the user base is. And so I think that's where there's a big opportunity for venture capital to get into the space. There's a lot of technology that can be leveraged across the real estate space in that sense. And I think we'll see it continue to go that way. As
So in a
time
way, it
passes.
sounds like you're describing venture capital as something that's kind of a friendly sort of entry into self-storage because it's helping enhance and fund technology that benefits the storage industry.
I think it's the goal. I mean, it's friendly is the, I don't know if I'd use that word or
Yeah.
not,